The magic is happening.
And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Because Money podcast. This is episode 7. It is the new year. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we're back. And yeah, so a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, I'm Jackson Middleton, joined by Sandy Martin and Rob Engen. We are your hosts, and we have a very special guest, but I will let Sandy introduce her. I'm just going to get some housekeeping out of the way. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight and you're on Twitter, hit us on the hashtag BecauseMoney, and I will be the social moderator. We'll get your questions in. If you got questions for our guest or us, or you want to, put in your 2 cents, let us know. We'd love to hear from you and include you. So other than that, if you're catching this on YouTube after the fact, we broadcast every Wednesday night, and you can check becausemoney.ca. That's the website. I'm sure the times are on there, and we're excited about this. So without further ado, Sandy, why don't you introduce our guest, and then I think we're talking about weddings and time-traveling pants or something like that. So.
Time-traveling pants. Oh dear. Time-traveling jeans. So our guest today is Melissa Leong, who she says she's been married for a while. October. She's been married since October.
Months.
Whole months. Across 2 years.
It feels like a long time.
And she's a reporter for the Financial Post. She does the personal finance reporting, and she does the most wicked videos you've ever seen. They're fantastic.
My goodness, that's so
I love them.
Say.
Such a huge fan. And she has a hashtag of her own, NP Save a Lot. So I've been following all of the little saving tips that you've had for your wedding. We know we as women know that this is wedding season. It's not June, it's now.
Yep. December is the most popular month for engagements, so everybody is in wedding planning mode if they got asked that special question during the holidays. So
it's time to spend some money.
Yep. Open your wallet, dump it all out.
So we know you weren't going to have a potluck in your backyard, but what were the ways that, let's just dive right in. What were the ways that you were thinking, I'm going to save some money for this wedding?
Okay, so I embarked, earlier this year, on this campaign to try to save money in all aspects of my life, and so I felt obliged to do so when I was getting married. But when I asked for savings tips, like when you guys asked for savings tips for getting married, what did people say? I mean, I got things like, oh, you know what, just have a barbecue in your backyard and just buy your dress at Le Chateau and no problem, it's going to be great. And I was like, I don't want that kind of wedding, but thank you.
Get married on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Yep.
At 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't invite anyone. Just elope with you and your husband. And so, no, I wanted to have a fabulous party. I wanted to have a great wedding, and so I just tried to save in every little way that I could. So I didn't get married on a Tuesday, but I did get married on a Friday, and it was like 17% cheaper than if you were to get married on a Saturday. So I saved a little bit there, and plus because I got married in the off-season, I got married in October. The venue was awesome. They were a lot more willing to negotiate everything. So me and my husband, we basically chose the cheapest package we could at this venue that we loved, and then negotiated everything. We just said, okay, well, we have the base package. Can we have lobster? Can we have steak? Can we have another extra hour at the bar? And they were so great. They were willing to because, it's a Friday and the off season. So it's a good way.
Fantastic.
And it's a lot like thinking about your own kind of financial goals, right? What's important to you about it, and there's the vendors are coming at you in so many different ways, from if you get a DJ or a band and a limo and flowers and everything, that you have to think of what are you willing to splurge on, I guess, if you want to have that that elegant wedding or that big party, and what don't you really care about. And I think, Sandy, you kind of touched on that a little bit too. The stuff you'd go back in time with. What did you say you'd keep versus what would you throw away?
Well, I keep the guy.
Yeah.
Keep him.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
I was talking to him actually about it today at supper over tacos, glamorous life that we lead. And he said he maybe wouldn't have invited all the people that we invited, our whopping 105 people, but he would have he would have been happy when I told him that I wanted to wear jeans. Keep him, wear jeans, and have a lot more food, more chairs, and that's about it. Less ceremony, definitely no DJ. But of course, I wouldn't have listened to myself. If I had appeared in front of me, I would have said horrible things to myself and stomped off in a huff and never spoken to myself again.
So I know one. Oh, go ahead, Melissa.
No, I was just going to say you brought up a really great point, Rob, which is it's hard to have that conversation with people where you ask, what should I do, what would you do, where would you save, because everybody puts, priorities in different places. And so, I mean, I didn't have a traditional wedding. I thought I had a pretty loose, relaxed wedding, but I spent the money where I wanted to spend it. So that was kind of, you make choices and sacrifices. So did I want the ice sculpture of the swan? No. So I will spend that money on, maybe a dessert table or something. So it's kind of like that either-or situation, which I think most brides kind of get lost in, which is that whole white blindness thing that they call it in the industry, where people just are like, I want everything. I want the swans. I want the ice sculptures. I want the crazy $4,000 dress, and et cetera, et cetera. So.
And how many people did you have or attended your wedding?
I cut my wedding list down from maybe 150 to 110. So basically I said, if you're not in Toronto, you can't come. Sorry.
Yeah.
My mother was very angry about that. She wanted to invite her friends and this and that. And I was like, no, not happening.
So one of the articles that kind of spurred this discussion on was there was one in the Globe and Mail, it was a couple months ago already. They were talking about they're a couple that was in debt. I think it was mostly student debt and a car loan, and then they had planned and budgeted like to the penny for this like $25,000 wedding, and they had a whole plan on how they were going to pay it back, and I think they were going to go into a little bit of debt or extra debt, I guess, to pay for it all, and then they had a plan to pay it off within 12 months. And so, of course, the comments were all, you guys are crazy. You have all this debt. You shouldn't be doing this for, a big waste of, or like a one-day waste of money, when you could put that towards paying off everything. And I think Sandy kind of touched on that too. You're not in that. I guess you're not really in that frame of mind. It's easy to go back and say, oh, I wouldn't have splurged on this, this, and this. But my take was at least they had a plan and they were aware of what the costs were and the budget, and they had a plan to pay it off. Was it the wisest use of their money? Maybe not, but they knew what was important to them, and I guess having a big wedding where they can have all their friends and family was.
So I have a question then. So now that we have had, Melissa has all of 3 months, 4 months distance, but now that we all
regret, no.
Now that we all have some distance from, we all got married, we all had the day, is there something, obviously somebody got drunk and, threw chairs or whatever, but is there something, that's not true, none of that happened. Is there something that you would have changed? Looking back, when you looked forward to your wedding and you thought, this is what my wedding has to look like, or it's not going to be the wedding that I'm dreaming of, if you had that, now looking back, is there anything that you think, I didn't really need that actually, funny that I should have thought it was so important? Anyone?
You know what? It's maybe I'm biased because I'm too close to it, and if I got into my time traveling genes, I would just be going back to just like a month ago. But honestly, my wedding was the happiest, most fun day of my life, and I think I went into it with a pretty good attitude because I had written about it for the Post. And had spoken to wedding planners and spoken to people, and a lot of them sort of put things in perspective. They said it's not about the wedding, it's about the marriage. And so prior to when I was planning for the wedding, I really tried to involve my husband Sean, and we talked a lot about where we want to put our priorities. We did a lot of I bought a lot of books on marriage and tried to think about that in general rather than thinking about this one day. I tried just not to put too much pressure on this particular day. So I did not splurge on, coming in on a horse or having any of that. But I spent a chunk of money. Like the average wedding, I think, costs $23,000 according to Wedding Bells magazine. And I probably spent close to that, including everything.
So I've read that statistic before, and I guess are parents still kind of expected to foot a little bit of the bill or all the bill? is it anything goes now, or is that
I'm jumping
tradition still?
in. Can I jump in on that?
Yeah, please do.
I'm jumping in. He or she who pays for the wedding feels they have control over the wedding. And that was one of the things that we were like, no, we will be paying for it. It's not going to be very flashy. We had over 400 people at our wedding, and It cost us $3,000. That's it. I think we picked up the burgers from Costco for our park. Like we had the ceremony in the church, and then we had a Highland Games in the park. We bought we thought coolers were too expensive, so we bought kiddie pools and filled them with ice and threw in random assortments of drinks. And I had my groomsmen, I told them they were barbecuing. We had 6 barbecues, and all we did was barbecue in the park really, really bad hamburgers. But it didn't matter. I mean, I think our wedding altogether was just under $3,000, and that included buying all of the kilts for my gentlemen and the bridesmaids, bridesmaids, I guess, are the people that stand up, all of their dresses. But we certainly, I love what you had to say about you're planning for a marriage and not a wedding. And I actually think I took it too far. And Steph and I were talking about this over supper. Unfortunately, we weren't eating tacos, but we were having ham, and ham's awesome too. So we were talking about it, and I think what we actually did is we tried so hard to not make it about the wedding that I think we probably could have taken care of the people that were there a little bit better. It was kind of like, it's not about the money. We don't have to spend money. We don't have to do this. But then we just we could have done better, and looking back, my wife was 20, I was 26. We really had no idea what we were doing. I was delivering pizzas for a living, and I lived in the hood. So, our wedding wasn't like, I was moving Steph to the hood, and it was like, okay. It was kind of a rocky start anyways, but it was more of just kind of, looking back, we loved it. It's totally us. We had Highland Games. The lady at the Scottish store got me a haggis, and we put it in pantyhose, and we had a haggis flinging contest. That's our style. But again, the day was a representation of who we were. But yeah, I think on the day of the wedding, I actually found a piper to walk us in, and I think I actually had $50 in my pocket and paid him.
Amazing.
Like, okay. So it was like, perfect. For real. It was kind of wild. But anyways, that's my story, and I'm out.
See, it's funny that you would mention that about not taking care of your guests, because there's this funny, if you read wedding etiquette magazines, there's a lot of things you're supposed to be doing. But if I could, there's, the song that I wanted to play when we were walking back down the aisle didn't come on in time, so it only came on halfway down the aisle. That's not the kind of regret that I'm talking about. The kind of regret that I'm talking about is that we had people come, like my husband's from Pennsylvania, so we had people come up from there. This is the one time in my life that I had 105 people, maybe 94, that I was really close to, and I had a reason that I wanted to have them there, and they were all, they're all primed in kind of their wedding mode, like, oh, we love these people, let's say nice things about them or whatever. And I feel like I wasted that I was more concerned. You can ask the people that were around me, I'm sure they'll have a different story. I don't think that I was all, I'm the bride and I'm the most important thing that's happened today, but I think there was more of that. That's okay to have a little, but I think there was more of that in my mind. I was more concerned about the favor boxes and when the DJ was going to play and the music that didn't play when we walked down the aisle, instead of being, that's the only time in my life that's ever happened, having that many people that I love in the same room. And I don't think it's going to happen again. And I feel like it kind of missed out on just really having a good time with them. I don't know. That's my big regret from getting married.
And we were so the other way. We were so not planned. Like, honestly, my wife decided the morning or the day before the best song for us to walk down the aisle was Johnny Cash Jackson, because my name is Jackson, not knowing that the song's about adultery. You gotta be kidding me. I put on the song, I just start laughing. And I'm like, you didn't listen to the words at all, did you? She goes, no, it just said I'm going to Jackson. Yeah, to mess around. But hey,
awesome. Just, awesome.
I'm out. But Scott Dawson says tacos are his favorite. And Noel, I'm going back to the Twitter now. Noel D'Souza says, Amen. It's not about the wedding, it's about the marriage. And what do you think about frugal wedding sponsor paying for the basic no frills wedding and the couple paying for any frills? So I guess if your parents are jumping in, they pay for the basic and then the couple upgrade. Thoughts?
We kind of did something like that. I mean, we paid for some things. I don't know that it was divvied up that way, but we paid for some things, and then my wife's parents paid for some things, and mine did. And it kind of worked out that way, but both sets of parents weren't really, like kind of what you said, they weren't really feeling like they had control over the wedding. You know, we still kind of had control over it, or my wife did anyways. And so you know, I think that was that was a good compromise, and kind of all three of us or all three sets of couples, I guess, had a say in it. Or had a stake in it, I guess, and it worked out for us. And you know, we got into a little bit of debt to do it, and that was more kind of like honeymoon related. And you know, we could look back. I asked my wife this, and she said she wouldn't really change anything. You know, we had a same kind of thing. We had about 90 to 100 people, and you know, she was going for that kind of that elegant. You know, I'm going to put on a good, you know, a good party, a good event for all our guests that came. You know, some came from provinces away, so you wanted to make it worth their while. So I think we accomplished that and still kind of had fun.
I think I just feel like nowadays people do spend a lot of money, obviously, on weddings, and people take advantage of you actually when you are getting married. And so that's the sort of part that I feel kind of icky about is when, you know, for example, I tried to save money in all ways, and so I was looking for the cheapest price. And for example, one of the places that I wanted to spend was I was going to get my hair done. So I actually we went to a blow dry bar across the street from the hotel and got our hair done. But when I told a salon that we were coming, I didn't tell them it was a wedding, and they gave me a price. And then when I told them it was a wedding, they actually upped the price for everything. Yeah. And so I feel like one of those tips that I would give to future brides is if you're planning for things, if you're making arrangements for things, just don't use the W word. You know, just say it's an event, and it would be a whole lot cheaper. But
it's pretty hard to do that, isn't it?
There are.
That's what I was going to say.
You're going to give it away.
I'm going to be there in a white dress at your hotel. Just ignore us. No, but I just mean that if there are, you know, we talk about I feel like we each had such different experiences, and that's totally okay, because your listeners are going to have ranges of experiences as well, and what the different priorities are. I just feel like there are many ways to save, so as long as you choose whatever it is that you choose and find ways to cut back. Like, I called in every favor that I could possibly call. Like, I had my friends doing my flowers, one of my friends was my wedding planner, my mother made my dress, somebody baked cupcakes, you know, my friends were photographers, did the photos, my friend who's a videographer did the video. So, you know, there are a lot of great talented people who are your friends, and I would say totally use them.
And by the way, props to your man for getting such air in that picture.
Yeah,
your wedding, like, he's got to be like 3 feet up there. How did he do that?
I told him
he was hanging from a string or what?
Yeah, I told him how much we'd spent, and he like literally jumped 5 feet. So.
Because he was up there. Like, I saw that. I'm measuring I'm like, okay, that dude's got air. Urban departures on the hashtag because money. If you're on Twitter, hit us on the hashtag because money. That was my kind of promo voice. Looking back, is there anything that you would have added to your wedding? That's a great question.
Ooh.
Would you have added anything to your wedding?
More booze, more lobsters.
More booze. Sandy, what about you? You look like there's something that you're thinking, yeah, I would have had more food.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. More food. More dessert, less cake, but more dessert. And more time to eat it. More time. I would add more time to my wedding. We got married at 6. The ceremony was 15 minutes long. I don't think I'd change that. But the reception itself, we left at midnight, and I think I probably would have, I don't know, more food. Started earlier, and I would have had that song play. Man, that was going to be awesome, and it didn't happen. But other than that, no. I would have taken things away. I wouldn't have added.
So what do you guys think about the destination wedding? Have you ever been invited to one or attended one?
I've been invited to many. I went to one. I went to one, I think last year or the year before, and it was lovely, but it was very expensive, and so I actually turned down. I turned down 3 in the last year for destination weddings. It's just a lot of money to go, and so it'd be nice to go and celebrate that momentous occasion with your friends, but a lot of people are doing it to save money. But then again, sort of the money, sort of the bill gets passed on to your friends who have to spend $1,000 to go. So.
Okay, here's the real question about destination weddings. If you get an invitation to a destination wedding, are you obligated to send a present?
Ooh. I wrote an article about this actually. The etiquette is there's no gift etiquette. You do not have to give a specific gift. You don't have to give a gift at all. In different cultures, it varies. In my culture, if you get an invitation, you should send a gift. But I don't know if there's a rule.
Because I always thought destination weddings were just the real coup. I mean, you make it a destination where everyone wants to go, but nobody can afford it. You send out thousands of invites just hoping to get presents. That's the way I feel about destination weddings. I think they're a good idea.
You're sending the invite to people you know aren't going to come.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, third cousins who are 7 years old expecting their parents to send the gift in the mail. I mean, that's the key right there. And Rick T on Twitter says he's just joining in. He made their own wine, and the friends did the photography at a gift opening brunch. Did you guys do gift openings? We didn't. We were just like, thanks, but no. We're not opening our presents in front of you.
No. We got on a plane and then opened them later.
Nice.
It's beautiful. Actually, that's something that I might add. I might, I don't know. We skipped the honeymoon because we wanted to save money, so we just didn't do a honeymoon. And that's something that I think maybe I would have planned something different, because it's nice to go away after that really, high energy. It wasn't stressful for me, but you want to go and deliberate and think about all the fun that you had and the fun that you remember if you weren't too drunk. So maybe I would add that.
See, we went to Stratford for a week, and Stratford is 3 hours away, and it was lovely. We went back a little while ago. We went back without our children. It was amazing. It was like the best thing that ever happened. So yeah, I have very fond memories of my honeymoon. Would do that part again for sure. Definitely. Jackson.
What, honeymoon? Yes, we went on a honeymoon, and we went to BC, and we learned very firsthand that water blocking sunscreen, the sun blocking that is waterproof, has to be reapplied every 20 minutes. We went poolside first day plus 35, and it was like, we baked. We were on our honeymoon, we're 2 tomatoes in the cusp, BC, in this hot springs, and it was absolutely gnarly. We spent 3 days in a cabin just being burnt. It was actually kind of fun. We really enjoyed it, but no, we didn't plan it. And then we ended up in Seattle to catch a ball game, and who knew that all the hotels were booked? And we ended up staying at a place called the Bullet Hole Motel, and it was scary and freaky. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, no. Rick T, I think, I'm just trying to clear this up, but I think when he made his wine at his wedding, he actually sold the booze to people and made $1,000 at his wedding.
Well, I don't think you can do that. I don't think that's legal.
I was going to say, is that legal?
I'm pretty sure Ricky T just did it. At the Delta provided bartenders, and we got to keep the cash. Apparently, it is legal. He sold the wine to the Delta, and they sold it. He made $1,000. How do you like that? Bootlegging at your own wedding. I like it, Ricky T.
That's a dollar dance I can get behind.
He says that option is no longer available.
Yeah.
And
I worked at a hotel that did about 50 or 60 weddings a year, and people would try everything like that, bringing in their own food, bringing in their own wine, you name it, and just like food handling and food safe requirements, you couldn't do it.
Nice.
We weren't allowed to do it, so you'd have to rent a hall and have somebody look the other way or do it in the backyard and have a barbecue, right, Jackson?
Yeah, or in a park. Highland Games, we had a caber toss. It was good. Urban Departure says, gift giving etiquette, cover your plate, question mark. What do you think of that?
Oh,
No.
Oh, see, this touches on that whole. Do you guys remember? This is now back, 4 or 5 months ago. Do you remember there was a whole spat online and everybody was talking about it? I'm sure this happens multiple times, but some woman was really angry because she received this gift of like homemade, jars of
Like
make
a
your own.
basket of food, and she was expecting money, and they had this internet. Yeah, I remember. It was hilarious.
I actually remember that too. Yeah.
I guess she was expecting to have the plate covered. I had never really heard of that as
No,
expectation.
I consulted an etiquette expert. She said no, there is no expectation. I think there's an expectation in North America. For societies created this expectation that you have to cover your plate, but according to etiquette, there is no specific rule about that. I think cover your plate is a horrible way to think about it, because if
What's
someone
that, like
chooses
20
to
bucks?
go. Yeah.
That's not enough.
Is it the barbecue at the Highland wedding?
Bring your burger.
How much your plate is. Bring your burger. Yeah. Because some people choose to get married at this $300 a plate venue, and so are you expected to cover your plate that way? I have to pay $300 for this rubber chicken filled with Asiago that tastes like styrofoam. So I think people actually, what they're choosing to do now is they skip wedding invitations. So my girlfriend gets wedding invitations in the mail for her neighbor, for cousins or whatnot, and she just skips it because she can't afford it.
Did you have a gift registry, Melissa?
I had a small gift registry, which I closed out after the shower. But people were lovely. People are lovely. They mostly gave cash. Isn't that what people usually do at weddings now?
Now, but not back in the day. Who's been married the longest here? I got married, July 15th, 2007.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
Rob,
06.
when did you get married?
I'm 06.
Oh, I was married in 2001. I feel very old.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, no, back in my day, no, it was half, I'd say half gift cards and half and cash and half appliances we didn't use, and really ugly kind of like coastal print, I don't know, cookware. Really not good.
Yeah, we lived together before we got married, like for 5 years or so, and so we had our own house. We had all the stuff that you'd typically get as your, or that you'd think about for, those appliances and whatnot. So, we did a gift registry, and then I think a lot of people did do, not a lot, but some people did do cash and gift cards.
There's a lot of pressure, I feel like, these days to give cash, or people talk, you have brides who talk about how expensive their wedding is and the lighting and all these other things, and I think friends feel pressured to give a certain amount of money, or I remember I spoke to this Italian gentleman after this article that I ran about, it was called "No, I Don't Want to Go to Your Expensive Wedding," and he wrote in, he said, you're supposed to cover your plate and give a gift on top of it. So if you cannot do that, you should be embarrassed and you should not be attending this wedding.
Wow, so are these weddings really costing $23,000, or are people profiting?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm really skeptical about that number.
We profited. We profited big time. Yeah. It was the haul. I think we pulled in like 12 grand and we spent $3. Like it was a 4-bagger for us. And my wife just tweeted me. It was a 4-bagger. July 15th, 2006. So Rob, you and I are in the same year.
Oh, you beat me then.
Thanks to my wife on Twitter. Thanks.
Yeah.
I think you got in trouble there, Jackson.
Yeah. No, because she probably had to look it up. We're together, like her. We're tight. So. Did you sell any of that kiddie pool beer and coolers? No, we just let it all go. It was whatever. It was in a park with burgers. I think
you missed out on a revenue opportunity there.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Big Ricky D. Hey, you need some wine? I like it, Rick. I like it.
Well, so that's what I'm skeptical about, is when you say, these weddings are costing $23,000, and maybe it's because, like, I go back to kind of our parents kicking in some money for this, so it's not, the burden isn't all on, the 20-something couple. And then isn't it true that now that other than Sandy, that people are getting married a little later in life too, right? So maybe they feel like they're on better footing and maybe they're taking on all the financial burden. I don't know. What have you guys found?
I think it's just, I find it really fascinating that people are, you're going to school longer, you're graduating with all this debt, and then you've got, right when you have all this debt, you have these, it's like an avalanche of all these huge life events. So you've got this $23,000 wedding that you need to have, and then you've got, after that, you have to buy a house, and buy a car, and then you've got kids, and I just think it's amazing that I think it's amazing. I mean, if Sean and I had no debt, we also saved specifically for the wedding, and so I didn't go into debt for my wedding. But I can't imagine having mountains of debt and then dropping this money bomb to get married. So
if you had kids, would you pay for their wedding? Would you set up a little wedding fund for them?
No. Would you guys? Are you guys going to pay for your kid's wedding?
Seth and I were talking about this not that long ago, actually. I don't really want to think about it because my oldest is, well, not old enough. We decided we were going to save money, some amount. We don't know how much because we don't know how rich we're going to be next year. But we're going to save some money, and we're going to tell them, well, you can take this money now when you get married, whenever they get married, or you can use it for your wedding, or you can use it for whatever else you want to. But that's the money that we're giving you, and you can choose how to use it. We don't. But I don't think I'm going to foot the bill for some. No, for some wedding, no. Oh, that's a long answer to say no.
No, I think we'll help out for sure. And in fact, I think the government should come up with an RESP for weddings. So we're not, give us a bit of a tax break too.
I refuse to tweet that, Rob. That is not. We're going to try and squash that. The answer is no. I'm not paying for my kids' weddings. Okay. Ridiculous.
Or Rob's kids' weddings.
Or Rob's kids' weddings. Yeah, subsidies. Forget it. No.
Come on, Jackson.
No. If the kids want a wedding, they can save up or they can go in debt on their own, but they're not taking their big daddy's money.
So that's the thing to me. So let's put yourself in the shoes of somebody who just graduated. This goes back to that conversation we were having about this couple that had no debt except for their student loan and their credit cards and their car, or whatever it was. But they had no debt. But at the time, let's go full circle and talk about time traveling pants too. You can't. There are people, and it's not because they're making horrible choices and they're just saying, screw it, I don't want to ever do anything proper with my finances again. It's because at the time it feels like this is the only time I'm going to get to do this. I'm going to do it the way I think I ought to do it, the way that it feels right to me or my family or whatever. And I'm going to, I can borrow the money, so why shouldn't I borrow the money? And it's not that it's a great choice, but I can see why people aren't going to listen to themselves from the future or to other people who have been married or who have a different perspective and say, maybe that's not the best thing that you should be doing right now. I can see that. I remember feeling that way.
People at that age waste money on a number of different things, and I don't know why someone going into debt to travel throughout Europe for a year, to the tune of $10,000 or something like that is, that's considered, you're more cultured and experienced for it. Whatever you like, if we didn't want to do that, and so or you can spend $25,000-$30,000 getting a fine arts degree that you might not use. Or that might not land you a job later on. So, there's a number of ways we can waste money, and I don't know that we should be judging people in their 20s for some kind of silly mistakes that they do, as long as, like how we talked about with the Globe and Mail article, that at least recognized it and had a plan on how to pay for it, other than the car loan.
I think the reason that it feels so easy to judge is because in our culture, we've come up with this idea, and I think maybe it's reality TV, I don't know. It's this idea that this is the shape that a wedding has to have. These ingredients, no matter what we think of the ingredient, like a favor, we don't have any particular reason that I want to give somebody a fortune cookie in a box tied up with a ribbon that took 3 hours on a Thursday to tie perfectly. But for some reason, it's important because a wedding has that shape, and that has to fit in there. And I think that's why it's so easy to judge, because you want to look at people and say, you don't need to cut a cake with a special knife and pay extra money for a special knife and for a special cake. And at the time it feels like you do, but I wish there was some way that we could just tell people to go back and spend on what's really important and not the silly things. I don't know.
And just taking it away from the money for a second, that's really what I get frustrated with weddings about, is I've done some event planning. I used to be a musician, and I've put on a lot of concerts, put on tours. I understand what it takes to actually book events. It's not easy. What bothers me is all of the pressure put on the bride that this is your one and only chance to get it right. And if you fail, your rest of your life, you will be known as somebody who failed at their wedding. So all of this pressure, all of the TV shows, all of the articles they read, all the books they read, they say you have to do this, this, and this, and they just want to be perfect for not only themselves, but for everyone who's giving them the pressure. And unfortunately, your typical person who has no experience planning an event, you give them the biggest event of their life, you give them parents, a husband, and people who are all saying, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. They freak out, they lose it, and they try and please everybody rather than pleasing themselves. And it sucks, and that's why I hate weddings. I don't like going to weddings. I've paid people to not invite me to their wedding. Seriously, I've said to some guys, if I'm close enough to them,
so much
all
this hatred for weddings.
No hate. It's the event and the pretense, and that's what frustrates me.
Weddings are, like, if you look at, we're talking about, why do we need this, why do we need this, but at the same time, traditions are, I mean, that's basically our culture is rooted in these time-honored traditions that I think, for example, in some cultures, they're really meaningful. It's a time for, blah, blah, blah. This only happens once in your life. Well, 40% of people, it happens more than once, but hopefully, yes, it happens once in your life, and hopefully that is something that you make worthwhile for you. When we talk about value, we talk about studies showing what actually makes us money in terms of, or makes us happy in terms of what we spend on. Experiences. If we spend on experiences, we are happier than if we spent and bought things. And so I think there's some value in making an experience that is worthy of the memory for the rest of your life.
And how much is it now where it's a bit of one-upmanship? So I'll point out the two biggest offenders that I can see now that'll probably inflate that $23,000 cost is Facebook and Pinterest.
Oh yeah, the Joneses. The Joneses on Facebook. Their fabulous wedding. I have to have it better.
And your friends all kind of, if you have a circle of friends that are all kind of getting married around the same time or within a couple of years of each other, you want to outdo each other. Or how much pressure, I guess, is there to outdo each other? And maybe that's maybe that's driving up some of these costs.
Yeah, and I have the perspective of somebody who's been married for almost 13 years and had other experiences that have been important and exciting. but I wouldn't have had those experiences if I hadn't had the wedding. And like you can't go through life like jumping ahead and saying, oh, I have all the benefit of this experience, so now you shouldn't have your wedding like this. It's stupid for someone like me to look at somebody, even my own self, 12 years ago or 13 years ago, and pretend that that's not important to them because it's not as important to me now because it's so long ago. It's just dumb. It's like an 80-year-old grandmother saying, well, my first job wasn't that important. Well, it feels important at the time, and that's, I don't know, that's more important than what some old bag like me has to say.
Oh my God.
And when you tell someone that you can get married for $299, like, okay, yes you can, but that's not what they want.
But yeah. I'm going to go with weddings nowadays. Man, in 2006, apparently that's when I got married, I didn't even have a cell phone. Like, how bonkers is that? I mean, I would do my entire wedding photography on Instagram. I mean, there's no doubt. I would Instagram everything. Imagine the likes on that, like from the stage. Like, that would be incredible. I mean, I'd do Instagram. I'd live tweet my own wedding.
Facebook,
I'd try and avoid. No, I hate Facebook. I'd do a Google Plus of it. I hate Facebook. It's gnarly.
Oh,
but I mean, did you guys see that story? I don't know. I think Huffington Post had it where this cat down in the States actually planned the entire wedding and got married on the same day that he proposed.
Oh, wow, no, I didn't see
that. Wow.
They were like dating for like 5 years, and just in a conversation, he heard his girlfriend say, "I'd really like to get engaged and married on the same day," and he was like, done. So he thought about that. He took a year to plan the wedding, but she had like one of these Pinterest boards where it was like my dream wedding. So he went and planned the entire wedding, got her down to Miami. It was like, I mean, it was a half-an-hour video. I was watching it on my computer. I was watching 10 minutes, and I'm like, I'm tearing up. I actually put it on the big TV, and Steph and I sat there holding hands watching it in the living room. Just like, it was incredible. But this cat was awesome. But I think weddings are changing. Like, how could you not leverage social media? I mean, to me, I wonder how long it's going to be till people hire people to live tweet their wedding. I would.
Oh.
I'd hire someone to live tweet that.
I
Awesome.
think everybody who should be reading that tweet should be at your wedding. No,
Yeah.
or why? Who else is looking at these tweets of yours?
Just random people.
I don't know. I just think it's awesome. I don't know.
People commenting on Sandy's wedding that the song,
Like
Sandy
favorite,
looks so
favorite,
mad.
yeah.
The song didn't start on time.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Trolls, wedding trolls.
Yeah, there's wedding trolls everywhere now.
Oh, that would be
and they're
brutal.
all on Instagram. What do we got? Urban Departure says, every wedding we've been to seems to be $23K, but they're all pushing 30 years old. So, yeah, that's... I guess I'm kind of out of the wedding scene. I haven't... a lot of my friends got married younger. I don't really get invited much anymore.
That's because you pay people not to invite you.
Yeah, I actually have done that a couple of times. But maybe the word's getting out. That's awesome. Good for me.
Don't invite that guy. He's going to live tweet your wedding.
I spoke to a wedding planner actually, and she said that she had not done a wedding for less than $50,000 actually.
Oh, wow.
And one of my friends, I believe he got married, and it was maybe closer to 60 or 70. So it just totally ranges. I mean, 23 is the average, so you're going to have things that are way more and things that are way less. And so,
So
I was worried coming on. Sorry. I was worried coming on because I didn't know how much my wedding cost. My parents paid for my wedding. I was there when my wedding dress was bought. It was $500. It was the first one I tried on. But I don't know anything else. So I asked them the other day, and it was $11,000. So I feel like, okay, I can go on this podcast. I can talk about it.
Yeah, I think ours was in that range too, 10 to 12.
I did for under 3.
I know, I'm impressed.
But really, we did burgers and like a couple of pipers and sport kilts for $100. Aside from venue and food, what was the most expensive component? Again, from Urban Departures, you're killing it with the questions on Twitter. Thank you, because money. Most expensive component.
Honeymoon was pretty expensive. The food, obviously you said food and venue. That's.
What about rings? What's the spend on the ring? Are we discussing that?
No.
3 months interest or 3 months?
3 months
salary?
interest. I like that.
Actually, 3 months interest. I recently did a story about engagement rings, and actually people say, blah, 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 you need 3 months' salary to pay for this ring. In actuality, there's a study done in the States, and people do not spend anywhere near 3 months' salary.
No
I think they
way.
actually spend an average maybe of less than a month's salary, and that's an average. As people are going to have spending less and people spending more. But what was interesting was what caused people to spend more. This is horrible. I don't even want to repeat it because it makes me angry, but the younger the girl is, the more money was spent on the ring by the gentleman. And so what do you think? If people are dating longer, do you think they spent more or less on the wedding or the engagement ring?
If they dated for a long time, probably less.
Way less.
They actually, according to the study, spent more.
Wow.
They spent more because apparently the researchers were surmising that they spent more because they had been dating for so long that the payout, this symbol that they had to give, had to be something substantial to prove that they were flipping serious about this.
Yeah, no Cracker Jack ring there.
Yeah, so they spent more.
Wow.
That's surprising.
I actually walked into the jewelry store. Steph and I had been dating for just shy of 3 months, and I walked into the jewelry store with $2,000 cash, and I was just looking to pick the right ring, and I said, that's the ring I want. And they said, okay, and it was $390.
Awesome.
That was it. I had no idea. I wanted white gold. I wanted a single diamond. I wanted low profile because I kind of picked up on that's what she liked, and she loved it, and it worked. Yeah, three ninety was under 400.
Sean bought me. Sorry, go ahead.
That was it. No, that's it.
No, I was just going to say that Sean bought me an engagement ring. We had discussed how much we should spend. I think he spent a few $1,000s on it, and I never wear it. It's horrible. I never wear it. So we actually didn't get engagement rings, wedding rings, excuse me, or wedding bands. I just wore my engagement ring, and he borrowed his dad's wedding ring, and put it on, and then took it off and gave it back to his dad at the end of the ceremony. But that is something I regret. I regret that we spent that much money on a piece of jewelry that I don't wear.
Yeah, I'm not wearing mine right now, but it's only because I baked bread today.
You know what? My wife actually said, "Are you going to wear your wedding ring tonight?" I'm like, "Yes, I am, right there." That puppy was like $100. Ken Reynolds on the Twitter hashtag because money says, "Hand-me-down engagement ring, $0."
Cool.
Yes.
Hand-me-downs like that.
That was
I was
good.
looking at one of those big kind of Celtic ones, and you know that. Do you know my problem is the size of my fingers? They change size. I actually have 2 wedding rings. One's a size 16 and one's an 18. So I wear it. I mean, it's weird. I mean, but yeah. So we actually bought 2, and mine were about the same as hers. So there we go. We're good to go.
I want to know who you're getting the engagement ring off. That's like who's going to give you your...
Well, like family. Like, I mean, if you got like a grandma's ring or something that gets passed down, that works.
There you go.
That could work.
I remember telling my daughter that I was going to give her, she was looking at my ring, and I remember saying, well, this one, you can have this one. I have 2 of them. You can have this one, and Lucy can have this one when she gets older. And Seth looked at me like I had said something crazy, like I was supposed to die with diamonds on my hands.
And then you will have none.
No diamonds for you.
Well, guys, I think our time is up, but we should answer one more question. We should all. What's the most outrageous thing you've heard at a wedding? Let's leave on a bang. Most outrageous or kind of story that didn't work out. I've got one. I heard of a couple that ended up importing frozen butterflies, and when they opened the boxes, they had died.
Oh no!
Great idea, but butterfly. No, just a bunch of dead monarchs. Anyways,
we had weddings that
they had to shake the box, right?
Yeah, it's like everybody's just kind of like
trying to blow them up.
We had weddings at the hotel I worked at that there was fist fights that broke out between like the father of the bride and the groom.
Oh my!
Yeah, so we had some pretty nasty ones. There was another one where the bride hung her dress on up in her room, and they're staying in like the jacuzzi suite, but she hung it on what was like a sprinkler up top, and so it the weight of the dress and whatever, it pulled the sprinkler while she was out and just like flooded the room, flooded her dress.
No.
So that was a big scramble.
Oh, I worked on a steamship that lives, oh dear, that sails on the lakes around here, and they had weddings all the time, all summer. Every Saturday was 6 weddings in a row practically, and one of them, they had these special champagne glasses to do the toast out of, and I broke one.
Oh.
So it was my fault.
That's terrible.
I know, I'm a horrible person.
Did you tell anyone or did you hide it?
No, it was hidden. Mother of the bride found out, but I pretended it wasn't me.
I don't have any crazy stories. The only stories that I've heard that are actually true stories are when brides just bawl their eyes out because they're so stressed out on their wedding, which is so depressing because you've just spent $20 grand to bawl your eyes out in this gorgeous dress. But
oh man, it's horrible.
Well, there we go. My wife just told me that not all the butterflies were dead. So apparently some of them did fly. So I'm glad that my wife's watching this, and I absolutely love her. There we go. But, well, thanks, Melissa, for joining us, and this was fun. And, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and, goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you guys.
yeah, have a good night.
See ya. Thanks, Melissa.